The Influence Events Podcast.
Welcome to the first ever, which is crazy to say because there's been so much work gone into this, the first ever Influenced Events Podcast. My name is Tom Fazackerly, cut it down to Faz, let's keep it simple. I'm the owner of Influenced Event Productions, which is a new, well, it feels like it's old now because we did actually start last year just before the world burned. We're a new events company working from the United Kingdom. We have contracts running out sort of United States, Europe, into Australia when we're allowed to get back there in 2023. And I'll be one of the weekly hosts on this podcast. And I'll also be joined by my lovely co-host.
Hi, I'm Jenny Grimm, just Grimm. I have known Tom for, oh my gosh, how many years now?
We met back in the days of Tumblr, I think.
Tumblr, yeah.
So probably pushing on a decade.
At least a decade. No, not at least. Yeah, about a decade probably. He will not let me go until I'm helping him with all of these events that he has been planning. I'm based in the U.S. I'm based right outside of Washington, D.C. in Northern Virginia. And we've never met each other. Which is
so crazy. It's so crazy.
Years we talk on Zoom and the phone and stuff, but yeah, we've never actually met. The many times I've been in the UK, I've
not been available. There's been a couple of times when you've been over, and I've never. And it's crazy to think that. It's definitely my fault. I think one of the times you were in the UK, it was the only time I was out of the UK that year for a very specific small set amount of time. So I can remember you posting a picture on your socials in front of Big Ben. I was like, hang on a minute.
I love Big Ben.
Crazy.
No, we were just chatting a little bit about how close is Manchester to you?
Manchester is 40 minutes.
Well, I'll be flying in and out of there in October. So.
Oh, well, there's no excuse then. So what people can expect is maybe a podcast in person, which would be crazy.
I don't know how much time I'll have there because I have to go to Scotland. So I'm flying into Manchester.
Oh, no, we'll make time. We'll do it on the road if we need to.
Great. Unless you're driving me to Scotland. I got to catch a train.
We could do it on the train. We'll do it on the train. Easy.
Going on the train? That'd be fun. Pod from the train.
Follow us on Instagram at Influenced Events.
Just to give a little background to those people who are tuning in for the first time, we, as a company, I work freelance in events for a lot of years, as well as hospitality, work for other people. And it got to the stage in 2019 where I wanted to do things myself. I thought I could. I'm ginger and I'm northern. We touched on this before we started recording, which apparently makes me very stubborn. I can't see that, but that's just me.
Not stubborn?
And so towards the back end of 2019, I think it was, I reached out to you and a few other people and I said, look, this is what I'm going to do. Do you want to come on board with me? And all the people that I wanted to say yes said yes in some ways. Obviously, people are getting more involved than others, which is great because we are still building. And then we built up this incredible event schedule. We were about to launch. If you remember, it was end of February last year. We were about to launch and then everything went into lockdown. So we had these incredible events lined up. And then it was no, you can't do that. And I can remember having chats with some of you guys quite early on.
I remember you were still so hopeful, and I was like, you're not getting over here.
I was hopeful for a little while, and then it became apparent. I think it was when the likes of like Glastonbury and Coachella cancelled.
Yeah.
And they just went, no. I mean, I think Glastonbury cancelled flat out. Coachella moved to October, I think, originally. They pushed it back to October. And then there was a lot of the other smaller festivals had those hopes where they were pushing from early summertime to the autumn. I don't know how that would have played out either, because a festival in the fall and like the winter, it would have just been, I said fall, I'm not American, this is you, in the autumn. It was tough, but at the same time, I think for me personally, not to talk about myself in this podcast because it's not about me, but I just kind of took it upon myself to use the time productively and network with people and get events set and build on concept and things, and just work so that when we could open back up again, we were ready, and we're almost ready to go now. We've got a couple of things going out Again, hopefully by the time this podcast goes out. But you never know, because there are some lockdowns happening again in the world at the minute. Australia, for one. We've, as you know, we've just had to move a tour that was set for this December in Australia to January 2023. So we've had to bump that back by 14 months already, which is crazy.
Yeah, and I mean, we don't have lockdowns here, but I mean, we're back in my place of employment is in Washington, D.C., and they reinstated their mask mandates. So I'm back in the office, but we're wearing masks again and everything. It just feels like it's come full circle and everything's just kind of happening at the same rate that it was before. So I don't know what will happen, but it's scary and unpredictable.
Yeah, I think I'm on the fence with it.
I'm so happy events are happening again, and then you see pictures though, like the one that's just going around. I'm sure you've seen it, of Lollapalooza, where it looks like just specks covering everything, and it's a weird thing to see now, and it's just like, I don't know if I personally could ever be in a crowd like that ever again, you know? Like,
yeah, it's.
I mean, that's a discussion point in itself. How people are going to feel going off the back of living normal life to then, you know, not seeing anyone for 18 months. I mean, I think the UK had stricter lockdowns than the US did, but going where you were in your own little bubble, working from home and not going to events. And I know that we're both big sports fans, so not going to sporting events for as long as we did. It's definitely, there's probably going to be a lot of sort of, I don't know what they'd call it, but I suppose like reopening anxiety for a lot of people. And it's gonna be interesting to see how that is affected when it comes to venues getting back to full capacity, whether that be 500 capacity or looking at the arenas sort of 18 to 20,000 plus.
I'll tell you that for us with our soccer team, our first couple games back were limited capacity, and we were all spread out, and it was really nice actually, right? You can kind of relax in your seats and not be too stressed, but they're back to full capacity, and how it's just like, ooh, people next to me. It's weird. I am going to my first concert. I don't even want to say post-COVID, because it's still obviously very much around. Planned for end of August. We'll see if it happens, but at least I was kind of upset that I wasn't GA at first. I wasn't general admission. I have a seat because I love being up close. But now I'm not very upset that I'm actually in a seat versus like on the floor in the crowd. So I will see. It's gonna be an interesting still continuation of at least the rest of the year.
This week's star guest.
And we will try and smoothly segue into the guest section for this week, and it's going to be the first tour that we've got as a company, which is very exciting. It's a little bit different. It's not music, and yeah, they are an eclectic bunch who I'm sure you'll meet eventually, Jenny. They are an awesome group of people. So we will hand over to me in London. Yeah, here's Tom, and yeah, we'll move forward and we'll have a chat with the Dr Sketchy's Anti-Art School London crew. I always get that wrong, but let's see how I get on in the interview.
This week's star guests.
So for the first ever guest segment of the Influence Events podcast, we've gone for something a little different. It's a cocktail of live performing and live drawing where the philosophy is simple. Dr Sketchy classes are to art what karaoke is to singing. Founded in 2005 by world-renowned artist Molly Crabapple in Brooklyn, New York. It's a gorgeous way to spend a couple of hours, discover your inner artist, and remind yourself just how amazing you can be. Dr Sketchy's Anti-Art School is the world's premier alternative drawing movement. Every month, artists gather in over 100 cities across 5 continents to sketch glamorous subcultural models and compete in drawing contests in an atmosphere of artistic mayhem, which could not be any more truthful if we tried. And I'm joined by 4 amazing guests today. We have Lady Cleo.
Hi.
We have Sebastian Angelique.
Hello.
We have Miss Divine.
All right.
And we have Dusty Limits.
Hi.
Now, I'd like to play it off that we've never met before, but we have. And so I don't know what to expect from this guest segment.
I don't think we do either, to be fair.
So what I'd like to know is, before Dr. Sketchy, what have you guys done? What's your story? What's your artistic journey? Lady Cleo.
We're starting on this end.
We're
Oh,
starting,
God.
yeah.
So I have been literally online for the last year now. Ever since the venues shut down, I moved on to Twitch, which has been fantastic. That's kept my head above water. And yeah, I've done a massive amount of like online performing as well as online teaching as well. I teach singing online, but most of my stuff has been on Twitch, which has been phenomenal. Twitch has literally saved me.
I do believe Twitch has grown exponentially in the last year, especially in the last year.
Yeah. I think it went up by over 4 million users, as in people actually streaming, not even just watching the content. It's been phenomenal. Huge.
Sebastian,
Hello.
tell us your story.
Oh yes, my story. You can tell I'm so prepared for this. No, my story. Do I have a story? My story is I've just been doing burlesque and boylesque because London doesn't really have a huge boylesque scene. I think now there's only about 4 performers that still regularly do boylesque in a sense. And so, yeah, I've just been doing that. Apparently, I'm very good at it. People like me. They like seeing me get naked. I'm like, great. I love it. It's a very good job. It's very fun. And, yeah, since the whole lockdown, we've just been doing online shows, like, as much as we can. But I much prefer in-the-room shows because online you can't hear people cheer. And with burlesque, that's kind of the point. So when you see people on a screen pretend to clap, it's really awkward because you're still in silence.
Yes.
And you're like, have I done it wrong? Did I do this right?
So
What's happened?
You didn't just get the clapping emoji then?
Yeah.
Through the...
People have sent me that during an actual live stream of a show. People sent clapping emojis.
Yup.
And I just died inside. Like, I love the show, but I died inside because I was like, this is the worst feeling ever. How no.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's one of those things we're going to talk about later, but I imagine it's very strange going from a room full of people cheering to their hearts of content to clapping emojis.
Yeah.
And probably the odd other emoji, which again we can talk to. We will quickly move on to say hello to our resident Canadian, Misty Vine.
Hello, everybody. How are you? How are you, Tom?
I'm good.
Good.
Yeah, I'm good. I've been looking forward to this podcast
I bet you have.
for a long time now.
I bet.
You see, what the people who are listening don't realise is that we have had a lot of meetings
Meetings.
as a group. And when I use the word agenda, I use it very
We
loosely.
laugh hysterically.
I
and
do
we
use it
laugh.
very, very loosely. Misty, your
Yes.
story?
My story is I was born here in the UK, grew up in Canada, came back to the UK because we had freedom of movement, and now that's gone. I may just go back to Canada. I've been performing for a very long time, right, Dusty? My support hose have caffeine in them to keep me awake during the performances. I'm a Scorpio.
And last but
Definitely
by
not least.
no means least, we have the evil headmaster himself, Dusty Limits.
Yes.
What is your story, sir? Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, there were many stories, Tom, you gorgeous creature.
That was only
I can't
last
tell
night.
you all of them because some of them are, illicit. But I'm a cabaret singer and host and writer and lyricist and generally someone who desperately works all the time because he's poor. And and I've been hosting Dr Sketchy London for over a decade. I know.
We can clap
That takes some stamina, to be honest, actually.
Clapping emoji.
Yeah, we'll throw those emojis at you. So looking at the last year as well, and I think Seb touched on it quite well. How does it feel to finally be able to get out there again and actually perform in front of real crowds?
How does it feel? It feels absolutely tremendous, and it feels as good for me as it does for the audiences. I've done some tiny cabaret gigs recently, and the hunger of the audience to just be out and about and have a cocktail and enjoy some live cabaret is palpable. It's really extraordinary.
And Miss Divine,
Yes, darling.
how was your 2020?
I actually took the time to sort of reevaluate what I wanted to do. I was working at such a pace. I had a day job and I was doing shows at night, and it was really nice to just know that on a Friday I could just go home. To be fair, I didn't have to go anywhere because we were locked down, weren't we? And it was just really nice to, I actually had the chance to sort through my costumes, to clean them. I'm selling costumes, by the way, if anybody wants some costumes. And like that. And so, but yeah, it was really nice. But then Dusty, my heart, my love, asked me to do a Dr. Sketchy, and I was like, yeah, I think I'm ready for this. And I've got like a tiny little apartment, and I made it look very, very sumptuous. And once I did that, I was like, I kind of miss it. I kind of miss it. So then I sort of, Dusty was like, oh, do you want to do another show? I'm like, okay. He sort of guided me back onto stage, but I was almost at the point of going, you know what? I don't know if this is coming back.
I think you touched on something quite sort of industry-wide there when you said that you took the time out and then you had that realization sort of like mid to end of last year where you wanted to get back to it. I know that I think because we were the first industry to close down at the end of February, I think it was, everyone thought, yeah, brilliant, we can take that few months and take it. But then when they saw that it was going to be a lot longer and it wasn't going to be, okay, we'll have festivals in June and we'll have festivals in October, that's where the industry kind of went, shit. And I think that's when people wanted to sort of start and recover. So, yeah, I think it sounds like I followed a similar pattern of loving life in sort of March and April, and then having that, I kind of want to be back to the 20-hour days and like not sleeping and
That's the weird thing, though, isn't it? Like I had my breakdown the week before the lockdown. I decided to have it. Sebastian will verify this. I decided to have it on my birthday, so that was like a double whammy. I also did a fire walk on the same day, yeah, literally. So on my birthday, my 49th birthday, I had a complete freeze down. Also decided to give up performing, and also decided that I was going to do a fire walk. Yeah. Oh gosh, it was so much fun. It was so much fun. I recommend it. I did it twice. I was like, the second time round, I'm like, I cannot wait to do this again. Can I do a third time? And they're like, no. You're not allowed. But yeah, I got it out of the way, and Sebastian and I produced all this work. We just stepped up to the plate and went, you know what? We have two options. One is to fall into a state of despair, and the other one is to just embrace this and go with it. And it's the new normal. And we did both very successfully.
Be like phoenixes rising from the ashes.
Well, yeah, literally.
Off the back of how does it feel to finally be able to go again, the reason that you guys are on this podcast today is we are going on a UK tour in September. We are taking Dr. Sketchy's Anti-Art School London out of London. How are you guys feeling about it? What are you excited about? What did you expect?
The whole concept is dreadful. We shouldn't be doing it.
What can people expect on the tour? People who have maybe been to the event before, what can they expect on the tour? What's different? People who haven't been to the event before, what can they expect?
The best way to think of it is it's a night out. You go out with some friends, you do a thing you haven't maybe done before, which is you draw. Someone, when you were small, maybe told you couldn't draw and you felt lacking in confidence. But what we do is just basically say anyone can draw well, and by the end of the night, you will be drawing better than you did at the start of the night, which is the point of the opening exercises. And also, it's just a wonderful, mindful activity. Science has told us, and when I say science, I mean it with a capital S.
And a Y.
And but yeah, it's a wonderful activity to do, share with friends, and just kind of remind yourself that you can do anything.
We're going pretty event heavy. We're doing 15 shows in 16 days, I believe.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's your first tour as well, I'm right in thinking. So, yeah. So how are you guys going to be gearing yourself up for it? I mean, I know that you all work incredibly hard on events anyway. And I mean, there's every time we have meetings, people miss them. Everyone's got shows. It's fine. Everyone's doing what they're doing. How are you gearing up for what is essentially 2 weeks worth of solid events whilst moving up and down the country?
I'm going to train my bladder.
We do let you pee on tour.
Oh, do you?
I've seen
Oh.
that, so yeah.
Well, phew, that's really fun. You know what? It's a free-for-all now. I have to do nothing.
I was about to say that comment was a little bit off-piste, but
I'm actually I'm gonna bring a book, but I can't ride backwards if I'm reading, just so you guys know. So if we're driving forward, then I have to sit forward. But I've got a book about compassion, so I don't kill everybody.
Sebastian, how are you preparing?
I mean, I'm just going to be getting naked. So, I mean, I'm naked already for people on the podcast.
Under his clothes, he is completely nude.
They said just been randomly stripping as
Yeah,
what's been going on.
I don't know how else I'm meant to prepare apart from just be naked on tour. Is that not what's meant to happen?
Preferably not when we're traveling and stopping off at to grab a sandwich.
Oh.
Maybe that'll be a bit frowned upon.
Look at him. Oh.
I
When
think
you're walking into Greg's.
I think I need to cancel the tour. Yeah,
I've been having thoughts similar.
that's right.
Lady Cleo, how are you preparing?
I will be frantically charging batteries. Not like that.
Wait. USB, honey, USB.
I can say
Yes.
the final question that we have, and this has been put to me by our producer Callum, who, again, I'm sending him this podcast to mix. I apologise in advance, but the question is the age-old question of who would you invite to dinner, dead or alive, that kind of thing. But we wanted to make it a bit different. So each one of you individually, I want to know if you could put on an event anywhere in the world, what would it be? Who would it be for? Who would be on stage? You know, would it be music? Would it be arts? What kind of venue are you looking at? I'd say you've probably got around a minute each to tell me what event that would be. So we'll start from Lady Cleo.
Cripes. Okay. Anywhere. Okay, so I've done my hosting and I've done the organising of shows before. I would rather be in them, mostly because the herding cats aspect is.
Preach.
Yes.
I think he's high-fiving.
Do you know what? If I've done it before, but I would love to do again. I'd love to do Burning Man again. I would do a fire performance at Burning Man again because that was easily one of the best performances I think I ever did. To the point that we literally just kept doing fire until things exploded enough that the man combusted, and that was awesome. That was so cool. So I would definitely go back and do that again.
Sebastian, where are we expecting to arrive for this event?
I don't know if I can say mine because mine's like so far in my head, and I've been thinking about this for the whole 30 seconds that Cleo's been talking. So far, I came to the conclusion of either the moon.
We can do that.
Okay, yeah.
A world first. Well, not a world first. A moon first.
Or
Wasn't me.
so either the moon or hell.
Oh, honey, we're there.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So okay, so let's say for argument's sake, let's go to hell for an
Okay.
event. What can we expect when we bought a ticket for your event in
gonna be
hell?
warm.
Like now.
I'm already there, mate. I'm already there.
No, I feel like I want to do. I want to be. I want it to be controversial. Kazakhstan. Wait, is that still a place?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Good.
It's
yeah.
still a country, yeah.
Okay. Cool. I'm really bad at Google, so I don't know. But
So, what can we expect when we step off the plane in Kazakhstan?
winter.
Yeah. Is that your event, winter?
Yes.
Gonna bring a snow machine.
Are we going arts? Are we going music?
Yes.
Is that both?
Yes.
Wow, this event is big, and you're paying for a flight to Kazakhstan as well.
I'm really young. I don't think of questions like this.
We can circle back. We can circle back if you want to have
No,
another.
no. I'm. I did my ABC, so I'm good. Peace.
Awesome.
Out of it.
Awesome.
Done.
Miss Divine, I've bought a ticket to your event. What can I expect?
You can expect to see artists, singers, songwriters, performers, so aerial, just a big hodgepodge, and it would
Good
be,
word.
it would, I'm just going to try to think of where it would, I'm thinking someplace warm, like, the Caribbean or the Canaries or something like that. And just an interactive, so you go in, you get your ticket, you go in, and each room is just created specifically for that act or those acts. So
I like
if
it.
you've got a music room, big fuck off sofas with, and there's like, your choice of wait staff coming round in bikinis or whatever you like. For the aerial, you're on the ground. There's like loungers. You're just laying back and watching them perform in the air. It's huge. It's huge. And that's, that, and when you buy your ticket, your accommodation is paid for, your food's paid for. Unfortunately, you got to pay for your flight, but, I think it's worth it.
Can I go on this tour?
That was so specific. You've given this so much thought.
I really have. Like, I'm telling you, if I win the lottery, like the jackpot,
Misty, I think you and Influence Events Productions should talk after the podcast.
Seriously, that was so.
We'll have a chat. We'll talk.
God, my answer's going to sound really rubbish.
Dusty,
It's not a competition.
Mine is very simple. A vicarage
okay.
What's
What
happening?
in Shropshire.
what can we expect?
A festival for 8 people and no more. And Sinead O'Connor sings Troy.
Oh, okay.
And that's the entire festival. That's all of it.
Very, very
And then we
unique.
just get pissed
Very,
and
very,
carry
very,
on badly.
very bespoke.
No, that's my answer to your question. Yeah.
Well, this has been an experience in the first ever.
And very
There'll be
short.
several more.
We probably will get you guys back on at some point. Probably.
I
just
don't
after
think
the tour.
Callum's going to let us.
When we have to account for our bad behaviour.
yeah.
Yeah.
It might not be a legal situation, but I suspect it might be, especially with Sebastian's cavalier attitude.
And next time we'll be joined by a co-host, which will be one of my lovely team, who the listeners will have heard in the first half of this podcast, which has been pre-recorded. So I won't have to sit here with my head in my hands for the full 37 minutes.
We're really well behaved.
We were very
This
well
is-
behaved
this
today.
is- yeah,
Compared to
on-
how we can be, I thought that was exemplary.
If you
So
don't
before-
acknowledge
Hands
it,
up if you think I'm right.
Hand up emoji.
So before we wrap up and we leave, is there? I'm going to regret giving you guys this opportunity. Is there anything you'd like to say to those people listening?
Hi, Mum.
Maybe. I mean, obviously, where can they find you? If they're listening now and they want to know more information, where can they find you? I don't mean like London. I mean online.
darn it.
I was going to say, but I was going to give my...
Do not give your address out.
So Sebastian, you are the social media maestro within the team. So where can people find more of Dr Sketchy? London.
So for Dr Sketchy London, if you go on Instagram and it's at dr.sketchylondon, you can find it there. I'm very certain they'll put it in the comments or in the description thing,
that'll all
because
be
I
in the
can't spell that well. So I just rely on predictive text. But yes, you can find everything to do with the show. You will find everything to do what we're going to get up to on tour. Anything else, like all the bollocks we're going to be chatting,
And there's a lot of bollocks.
Yeah.
Chatting bollocks. I clutched
There is a lot.
my rhinestones.
Our objective by the end of the tour is to drive Tom completely insane.
Well, you are well ahead of schedule with that one, my friend. Well ahead of schedule.
I think Tom's gonna be like Catherine O'Hara in Beetlejuice.
Yes.
When she goes, if you don't let me do what I want to do, I will go crazy and take you with me. And that's, I think, what we're doing to poor Tom.
Yeah, you're getting there. Like I said, I have this frown line that is affectionately known as my bastard line, and
It will eventually dig into your entire brain, and then
it's
you'll.
going to connect it to my chin by the time it's over, I think. So, no, I do appreciate you guys taking the time today. You all look very lovely on stage. Again,
So
in this
do
lovely
you,
venue.
Tom.
Let's not talk about that. Well, the people who can't see, I'm wearing a Star Wars t-shirt. I feel very underdressed. I have no makeup on. It's a rainbow. Yeah, it's Star.
It's Stormtrooper, innit?
It's been lovely having you all on the first ever Influence Events podcast. And I'm looking forward to the tour. And I say that with an actual smile on my face.
Wow, is that what that looks like?
Yeah, I know. It's very good.
The Influence Events podcast.
We will be back next week with another awesome guest. We will continue our industry chat because I've no doubt that there's going to be more changes in the coming weeks in how things are operational. So anyone who's listened this week, it's very much appreciated. So if you want to keep up to date with everything, all influenced events, when it comes to the tours and the events that we're launching, we've launched some events yesterday. We've got more coming up. As you know, we're going on tour with the Dr Sketchy crew. You can find us in a lot of places. Where can people find us, Jenny?
Yeah, they can check us out at the website, thenexteventisyours.com.
We also have Facebook, which is @influencedevents.
Instagram @influencedevents.
We have Twitter, which is slightly different because the handle was taken, and that is influencedents, ENTS.
Can't not laugh at that. What a bastard. Who took influenced events?
It's just rude.
Are you sure it wasn't you and you just forgot? Because what are the chances?
I did think for a second it may have been, but I did double check, and it is taken by someone else.
Influenced Ents, ENTS. Yes, and then we also have a specific podcast Instagram, so you can go there for all things related to this lovely podcast at Influenced, with a D, Influenced Pod.
And if anyone has any questions or anything that they think would be a good discussion point, just drop a message to the Instagram, at us on Twitter, or shoot us a message on Facebook, and we will definitely get back. We are lovely people. So with that, we'll see you guys next week. Thank you, Jenny.
Thank you.
Brought to you by the Influence Events team.